Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Take 3 podcast. My name's Ryan McClellan, and I'm joined by my buddy Harvey Dreyer.
Hello, Ryan. Another week of movie news, and I can't wait to talk movies with you.
Awesome. Yeah, me neither. And so I guess we'll go ahead and jump right in. We've got a couple of movie news stories. First one is that apparently Doug Liman has officially and finally, I would say, dropped out of the Gambit project with Fox Studios, and now he's being tapped to direct Justice League Dark. So this seems interesting to me. I like the idea. What are your thoughts, Harvey? Do you think that Doug Liman is right to move away from the development hell that Gambit is stuck in? And do you think that moving to DC with their very storied past, do you think that's the right move for him?
Well, him leaving Gambit, it's kind of obvious. No director wants to touch Gambit, I don't think, at the moment. I don't think any director will want to touch Gambit in the next 10 years or so. And I think him joining DC, it could be a good move. I'm a bit annoyed that he is replacing Guillermo del Toro for Justice League Dark, because Guillermo del Toro, with his history with Hellboy and other movies, other dark movies, he would have been perfect to have directed Justice League Dark. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you on the respect that Gambit, while I think that he's an incredible comic book character, I think that trying to build a standalone film around him is a difficult task, to say the least. And I don't think that Fox is really in the position that they should be trying that. And I think that I'm interested to see whatever Doug Liman does next. And I think that it'll be cool to see what he does with something so out there. It's such a random property, it almost feels like. Have you read anything of Justice League Dark? I know I haven't.
Well, I haven't read any of Justice League Dark, but I've read Deadman and Swamp Thing runs, and I love those two characters, and I can't wait for them to be put on the big screen.
Cool. Have you've seen Edge of Tomorrow, I would assume?
Yes, and his movies in the past, I think they're quite different to what I think Justice League Dark. I can't say anything. It's 10:30. Justice League Dark will be, but we've seen directors come into different genres and succeed very well. So, he's made some good movies. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And I'm hoping, maybe even against hope, that Warner Brothers, if they do end up signing him to this film, that they learn from their mistakes and step back and let an experienced director do his job, do what he's supposed to do. Because I think, like you were saying, Doug Liman's a good filmmaker, and I think you can trust in him to accomplish the task at hand. So yeah, I'm interested, and I can't wait to see a first teaser that I think that'll really give us an idea for the tone that they're going for. So, all right. And so our second little piece of movie news is that good old Vin Diesel gets on social media and basically tweets out confirming that the Guardians of the Galaxy are confirmed to appear in Avengers and Infinity War. What were your immediate thoughts with this?
would have been absolutely insane to not have the Guardians of the Galaxy,
I agree.
because there'd have been no point in having them collect an Infinity Stone and have a movie if they weren't going to Avengers Infinity War, because that's what Infinity War is. It's the uniting of these characters that we've learnt to love for the past. Well, it will be 13 years when we get to 2019, 2020.
Right.
And there was some rumors that possibly they might not be featured in Avengers Infinity War, but I don't think they would have ever have gone forward without the Guardians.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Mainly because how well the Guardians of the Galaxy movie did. If for some reason it hadn't been a success, I could see Marvel trying to sweep it under the rug in a way. But once you have such a successful movie, and everyone loved it, well, obviously not everyone, but many people loved it, especially the whole feel that it had just fits. To me, I think it'll fit so well in the Avengers Infinity War storyline. Here's a kind of a side question. James Gunn took to Twitter and he said that no, there will not be an Infinity Stone and there will not be any Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Do you believe him when he says that?
Yeah, sure, why not? I like the fact that they're steering away from the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe intertwining with the Thanos and the Infinity Stones, because it looks
Right.
as though they're going off and having their own fun little side mission, which could make for a very entertaining movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for because, like you said, it'll be interesting to see them kind of break away from that main storyline that we've been following and that they took a big part in their first movie. It will be cool to see them go off and explore a different part of space and do their own thing this time. Another question for you. You've seen all of the Netflix Marvel shows?
Not Jessica Jones.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Daredevil season 2 is the best one anyway. So Jessica Jones is good, but Daredevil season 2 is where it's at. Do you think that they're going to put any of those Netflix characters into Infinity War at some point?
No, I think they're gonna save it for after Infinity War. Because not they're not mainstream Daredevil and Jessica Jones as to how the movies are.
Right.
So they're probably gonna save them for afterwards so they can carry on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe without having to do constant sequels. They can bring up new characters from the TV shows possibly.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Personally, I wouldn't really want to see them in there either. As cool as it would be to see Punisher just wrecking shop, these characters don't really have the power set to fit into this huge galactic war in my opinion. I think that they fit in where they are and whether it be Hell's Kitchen or just various parts of New York with their own smaller battles, that's where they fit in the best. I mean, except for I guess possibly Luke Cage because he's invulnerable, but even then I feel like it's a stretch to try to shove all of these other characters in that maybe not everyone has seen. Just because you're watching a movie, a Marvel movie, doesn't mean you've seen all of the side Marvel TV shows and all that extra content. So I think at a certain point you run the risk of introducing characters that people really don't care about. I might care about them, you might care about them, but someone else might be like, "Well, why is Daredevil in this? I don't remember like it wasn't Ben Affleck Daredevil. When did this happen?" type of deal. So,
I think that if they were, it would have been completely tonally wrong because the Defenders are part of the street, and it would be criminal if they had put them in a galactic war straight away.
right.
And I, yeah, I just don't think it would have worked. It would have been too much of a shift from the street to world saving.
Yeah,
And
that makes a lot of sense. It would just it would be awkward and I feel like they're doing so well with these Netflix TV shows. There's really no need I not that I see. That actually almost makes me think of something else. Have you watched any Agents of Shield at all?
I've watched up to season 3, episode 10 or so, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I only watched the first season. Does it get better or
Slowly. I don't think
slowly?
you're missing out. You're not missing out on anything too much, although I am kind of excited for Ghost Rider.
Yeah, that honestly might be the thing that kind of forces me to catch up. And that, and I keep hearing how now we may not even get an Inhumans movie. We're kind of just going to be stuck with the whatever Inhuman storyline is in Agents of Shield. How do you feel about them? By them, I mean Kevin Feige and Marvel, pretty much stepping away from an Inhumans movie and postponing it indefinitely.
I couldn't care less. I mean, we've got Inhumans on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They can stay on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for all I care. I mean,
Right,
we've got plenty of Marvel movies to wetten my palate, as is that a phrase? I don't know.
right.
What are your thoughts?
um, I was intrigued. I just like to see new weird movies being made. So that's part of the reason why I'm so excited for Doctor Strange is it's just something different and something weird. And that was what originally had me excited about the Inhumans, but honestly when I heard that they postponed it indefinitely, I was a little disappointed, but it wasn't anything that really held my attention for very long. I was like, okay, either they get around to it eventually or I'm stuck reading the comics or whatever. So it wasn't anything to where if they had canceled Doctor Strange, I would have been incredibly angry and probably wouldn't have would have never forgiven Kevin Feige, but thankfully he's too smart to do something like that. All right, and then now we have a couple of trailers to talk about. The first one being the second teaser trailer for Damien Chazelle's next movie, La La Land. This movie stars Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, and it actually even has John Legend, which is an interesting choice to me, but I'm willing to give him a chance. Harvey, what did you think of this second teaser trailer for La La Land?
It didn't get me excited the way other teaser trailers can get me excited about a film. I'm intrigued to see the full trailer because I know what this director has done and I was a big fan of Whiplash. So it was it intrigued me and that's what a teaser trailer should do to get me to the full trailer.
Right. Well, I'm a crazy person and I did more than let this trailer get me intrigued. I let this trailer basically allow me to think that this is going to be one of the greatest movies of all time because I am so excited for this movie. I was a
Really?
huge fan of Whiplash. The first time I saw that movie, I flipped out. I could not believe how great Whiplash. It's still, I think it's like my number 5 best movie of all time. I love that movie so much. And when I heard that Damien Chazelle got Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, who I've never seen them do anything very musical before, when he got them to star in an original musical, my excitement level was already through the roof. And then as soon as I saw the first teaser, I was very excited. And the second one, I knew it would be a make or break. Either I would be very excited or it would kind of temper my excitement. And it did nothing but get me even more impatient for this film to hit theaters because I just love the 1950s aesthetic that it has, but it still takes place in modern day. I like how it's going to be all new story, all new songs. It's not another rehash of some uh best-selling Broadway play that we've already seen before. It's going to be something fresh and new and whether no matter who's doing an original story, it usually tends to get me excited just because I love to see new and original content. So are you a fan of Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone as actors?
Ryan Gosling, not so much. Emma Stone, she's a good actress. The one film I do like Ryan Gosling is The Nice Guys.
Again, I just keep coming back to the fact that we've already seen Damien Chazelle do wonderful things with a movie that revolves around music with Whiplash. I love jazz and I love jazz drumming. So to see what he could do with that just gets me all the more excited for what I hope he can do with La La Land. But at the same time, it's in the back of my mind that I'm like, oh, Ryan, you're getting way too excited. You're just gonna end up being let down. So hopefully that nagging voice in the back of my head is wrong and it ends up being really good. And then the second trailer we have to talk about is Manchester by the Sea. So this, honestly, I didn't even know this movie was being made. The trailer caught me by surprise, and I was very intrigued immediately just because I'm a huge Casey Affleck fan. I like what he's done in the past with, I mean, all the way back to Good Will Hunting, but especially movies like, um, excuse me, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Maybe not the greatest movie as far as pacing and storytelling, but I thought he was very good in it. What did you think of this trailer, Harvey? Does it get you excited or are you kind of mediocre on it?
Okay, let me tell you something. I saw this trailer when it first came on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't care less, to be
Oh,
honest.
wow. Okay.
I watched half of the trailer, couldn't get through it. Then you said on your show notes, we're going to be reviewing this. Okay, I'll watch the entire thing, and it just looks like average Oscar bait, basically, with some good
Mm-hmm.
performances.
Yeah, I can actually see that, how it could look kind of Oscar baity.
What are your opinions?
I liked it, honestly. I think that, like you said, the performances are what's going to make it interesting. The interactions between um, these actors. And I want to see something different from what I've seen before. And it seems like there's something here. I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of quantify, but for whatever reason, the trailer just felt really refreshing to me. Maybe I'm just coming out of left field with this one, but I watched it and it got me very intrigued and I was excited to see where it goes. Plus, too, I'm from New England, so seeing something that takes place in Boston kind of it feels like home to me. So that might be a big part of it too. Is you recognize the setting and it feels like home, so that kind of lends another element of interest for me. Do you have any specific opinion on Casey Affleck? Have you seen any of his movies?
Yeah, I've seen lots of his movies. I think he's a great actor. He's very underrated as well. I saw him in oh god, what was the Christian Bale? Oh Lord, what was it called? Oh, it
Oh,
was
right. It's Out of the Furnace.
yes, that he was great in that. I thought that was a very good movie, and he put on a great performance. I think his performance will probably be the thing that drags me out to go see this movie in cinema. If good review, it's got already got good reviews, so I'll probably go see it in cinema.
Right.
What do you think of this new up and coming kid playing the nephew?
I'm honestly not sure. I felt like I at first I didn't like his face. I know that's not a nice thing to say, but for whatever reason, just his face kind of distracted me for whatever reason. But I think that once I start watching the movie, his performance draws me in. It was hard to tell just off of the trailer, but I'm hoping that he's able to play well off of Casey Affleck. To me, that's got to be something difficult. I don't know. I know some new actors say that it's easier to play off of an experienced actor, and I also know some that say it's more difficult because of the pressure. So I- I'm definitely waiting for this one to come out, and I'll probably be in the theater watching this opening day or at least opening weekend. So
I just want to say
yeah,
something. I've just had a
sure.
look. Matt Damon is producing this film.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I noticed that. He's doing a lot of producing lately.
So yeah, that kind of gets me a little bit more excited actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm a
Cuz I knew they all grew up together. And I know that Matt Damon has started kind of focusing more on the production aspect, which makes sense. Um, I almost wonder, Matt Damon hasn't directed anything, has he? I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
I know he's written, obviously, but I think it won't be long before he tries his hand at it, and I would be very interested to see what he gives us. I mean, because Ben Affleck, I feel like he came out of nowhere, really, because he had Gone Baby Gone, which I haven't seen, but I know that many people have said it's very good, but it wasn't necessarily well known. And then The Town really brought him onto the scene. Have you seen The Town?
No, I haven't, but Gone Baby Gone is a very good film. It's on Netflix as well, so check it out.
Yeah, interesting story about the first time I saw The Town. I remember I watched it just DVD quality on a laptop. I had borrowed it from the library and I watched it through. Did not like the movie at all. I just didn't get it. I thought it was incredibly overrated, and I probably felt that way for 3 years, probably the past 3 years. And then just recently, my buddy was asking me if I'd seen it. I was like, yeah, honestly, didn't understand it. That was like the way John Campia from Collider thinks that Blade Runner is overrated. That's how I felt about The Town for the longest time. I just could not understand how people thought it was so great. I mean, it was okay at best, but I could not understand. And then my was like, no, you got to sit down. You got to watch it again. So, all right, fine. Twisted my arm. I sat down, and I would say within the first 20 minutes, I couldn't believe that I ever thought it was a bad movie because I was instantly hooked. And for whatever reason, my perception of the movie completely changed. And still, I wouldn't say it's, one of the greatest movies of all time necessarily, but it's certainly a very quality film. And I was just like, wow, I cannot believe I once thought this movie was junk. Have you ever had anything like that happen to you before?
Oh, yes, Blade Runner.
Oh, wow,
I,
really?
I didn't think it was junk. I just
Right,
thought it was fine. I was bearing in mind I was like 10 years old when I watched it. I thought it was
right.
fine. Yeah, it wasn't nothing anything special. I watched it about a year ago, and it's my second favorite movie of all time. I love it so much.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the first time I watched that, it's a confusing movie at first if you don't really have any background on it. And I didn't really understand the ending the first time at all. And then I watched it again, kind of paid attention a little more closely, and definitely got a lot more out of it. So improved a little with that one as well. All right, now we're going to move on to a new segment for our podcast called the Classic Film Review. We each recently watched a movie from way back when. And Harvey, why don't you go first? Tell us what movie you watched and what were your thoughts about it?
Okay, I watched Rebel Without a Cause, and I know it has a lot of love, but I didn't really get the love for this. It was different, and I admire it for being different. I thought James Dean was
Right.
very good, but I just feel like it didn't feel too cohesive, and I thought that the third act, I wish they could have built it up a little bit more. The third act, because it was very different to the first two acts of the film,
Right.
and and also the way the characters interact after certain parts of the movie, but certain pivotal moments have taken place throughout the movie. I didn't feel like they felt fluid, so it was unconventional. It had a good performance. It told an interesting story. I just didn't really feel it this one.
Right. You didn't understand maybe all the hype over these many years. And that's actually, I've never seen the movie, so your review of it raises a couple questions. I almost wonder if maybe the reason it's remained so popular even after all this time, even after all the changes made to the way movies are made nowadays and what we expect to see in the theater. Do you think that because it's James Dean, and because rest in peace, he wasn't able to give us very many performances before he passed. Do you think that people kind of hang on to it because they have so few movies of his to enjoy, and he was such a sensation and he is such a great actor? Do you think that's what kind of keeps the movie in the public eye?
Well, it's a very interesting point you bring up there, but don't think that's pivotal to the way people love the film, because people like now are reviewing the film, people who may not even know that he
Right.
was in many films. I'm not sure that that has too much to do. It could have with some reviewers, definitely, but I'm not sure it has that much to do with the overall consensus. I do want to say though, the first 10-15 minutes of this film were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. They got me hooked, and the film just died down a little.
Right,
Just
it
kept
kind of went
just
out with a whimper for you.
yeah.
Does the pacing slow down? Is it like it starts off, quick pace, there's a lot going on, very dramatic, and then over time it kind of just dwindles down and there's not much going on? I get the feeling sometimes that movies of that era kind of had that issue. Is that how Rebel Without a Cause ended up?
Completely the opposite.
Oh wow.
It started off really slow and really well done, and it was building up these characters, and then it went fast paced, and it went picked up the pace even more. But it just I wasn't feeling it.
Maybe kind of sped past a lot of important
Yeah,
moments. I've felt that before in a movie where you just watch it and by the time it's like, wow, that's it. It's already, and not because you had a great time, but just like that's all I get out of this. You kind of just sped past so many important what felt like could be an important character development moment. Kind of a tangent, but that's how I felt about the movie John Carter when that came about. I had read the books before, John Carter of Mars and Princess of Mars, Emperor, all those gods of Mars, and loved them. And when the movie came was coming out, I was very excited for it. And then once the movie was released, I was sitting in the theater, all jazzed, couldn't wait. And then movie starts, and it played way differently than the books. It was very, which at this point, being a big reader and also a huge fan of movies, I'm kind of used to them being different. But by the time it was over, it was just such a snapshot of the overall story. There was really no substance there. I felt like I had just watched 2 hours of, I don't know, CGI, nothing. It was just like frosting on a cake. Have you seen John Carter of Mars, or John Carter rather? Stupid title.
yes, I have. It
Yeah,
was
not great.
it wasn't memorable whatsoever.
That that was just one movie. I'll don't think I'll ever forgive it. I know some people like it all right, and I guess if I had to watch it again, I wouldn't be too angry, but I would just be sitting in my seat kind of shaking my head the whole time at the missed opportunity that it had. Could have been something so much more. But anyway, that's off topic. uh, Now we'll go ahead and move on to my movie, which was the original Ben-Hur, with Charlton Heston. 3.5 hours long, so long that I don't even really remember how long it is. But that's actually not even a negative in my book, because I love long movies, whether it be Gone with the Wind or the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, or even 2.5 hours. Even that'll get me excited with something like Inception. I like to make an event out of a movie, and a 3 hour movie allows me to really make an event. Here, like Lawrence of Arabia is the same thing, and same thing with Return of the King. I just like to pop in a movie, sit down for a good long while, and really get lost in the world. And that's what, when I got Ben Hur, I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it before the remake comes out. So if I end up watching the remake, I can go into it and not have anything ruined. I'll understand what the base is. I will understand what the original was, and it's so great. So I bought it. I was very excited, put it in, I was ready to just sit down and kind of get lost and be absorbed. And at first, that's what I was able to do. I was able to get lost in the story of Prince and his basically his best friend and the conflicts that come out from their different religions and their different alliances to their people. And I would say the whole first half of the movie really had me excited and engrossed. And I think it wasn't until after the chariot race that I kind of fell off and was less excited and kind of wasn't really feeling it up until the end with the crucifixion of Jesus, which again gained my interest and then through to the end of the movie, which leads me to say that while I very much enjoyed this movie, I think it's pretty much its largest and possibly its only flaw is that there was plenty that could have been cut from the movie. There, it didn't need to be such a long movie. The chariot race seems like it should be right towards the end of the movie. It's so amazing. It's such a cool scene. It's so climactic that it's like, how do you follow that? The only way you can follow that is with something even greater. And I don't think that William Wyler I don't think he understood at that time that movie making, it needs to escalate because otherwise you're going to bore your audience. And unfortunately, I felt so bad. I was like, wow, this movie is a classic. And here I am kind of getting bored. Thankfully, like I said, again, I got interested towards the end because just the way the drama of them having to escape and them seeing the crucifixion of Jesus, it really brought me back into the story. But geez, overall, I really think that this movie could have benefited. Like if they had just tightened it up a little, I think I could have looked at it as more of a masterpiece. But as it is, I just look at it as like, okay, that was a good time. I'll probably watch it again before I die. But it wasn't something that impressed me quite like Gone with the Wind, let's say. Harvey, you also saw the original Ben-Hur, correct?
No, I didn't. I watched a 1959 version. It's not the original.
Oh, yes, you're going to keep getting me on that. Well, I don't even care about the other one because, as far as I'm concerned, anything before 1930, I'm probably not going to watch it. Sorry. I don't play that game. But anyway, have you seen the 1959 William Wyler Charlton Heston Ben-Hur?
Yes, I have. And
And your
I
thoughts, please.
I agree with you with the fact that it needs to escalate, and that chariot scene would have been a great ending. However, I don't think this movie should have been shorter. I would have been content on this movie being 5 hours long. I was so engaged with Judah Ben-Hur and Masala and this journey that he takes, or like trying to find Masala and get revenge, was very emotive and it engaged me apart from the last hour, and I really had a problem with the last hour.
Yeah.
And I've been can I tell my alternate ending that I wish would have happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so I told Ryan this about last night, I think. And okay, so the whole film is about what? What is it about, Ryan?
I would have to say Uh, that's a good question because I'm trying to think of maybe the ulterior themes, but I'd say overall it's kind of a story of redemption, it feels to me.
Yes. So he needs to feel redeemed, and what he is in the beginning of the movie, he's passive. He doesn't. By the end, when he's doing his chariot race, and okay, it's kind of an accident. I wouldn't say it's an accident. It's not his fault when Masala
Right.
dies. But what I would have wanted to happen, Jesus plays an integral role in this movie, but not enough. They try and shove him in, but I don't think he plays a big enough role, and I would have liked to have him make a real impact on Judah directly. So, this is what happens. He comes back home to find his mum and sister are lepers, but they're dying. And Esther has. Because you get that whole thing with Esther and her father when Judah comes back and Esther tells the mother and sister that Judah has changed. And when Judah comes to see his sister and mother on their virtually their deathbeds, they tell him that you can be redeemed by Christ and you can change your ways. So when it comes to the chariot scene, he does it, but in the end, when we get that scene with Masala like completely blooded and he's like strapped up, Masala says to Judah, "Kill me. Nobody's going to respect a cripple. Just kill me and end it." And Judah says no, because he's passive and it's not what he is. And so we get that whole revenge, but he can fight his anger because of Christ. And it's an integral theme of the film. And then he winds up with Esther, and then blah 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 blah, happy ending. And I think it would have served the movie a lot better than the ending with the magic rain.
Yeah, which is just, I understand it. I understand what they were going for. I think that somewhere along the way it got lost in translation. And I do agree with you that the beginning of the movie is Jesus's birth, and the ending of the movie is Jesus's death. But like you said, he doesn't really play much of a role. It felt random and shoehorned in, which I don't understand why they took up even more time with those scenes if it really didn't set anything up. But what you suggest is certainly interesting, because in that case, in the case of what you just laid out, he actually has a purpose he actually has a purpose in this story that's being told. And honestly, I would be interested to see it played out that way. I'm not sure how necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily say it's better. I would have to see it. That's all I can say. But I do like how your alternate ending gives more weight to Jesus and gives him a reason to be in the movie, because as it stands, he's kind of just there and is such a minor character. It just feels awkward.
Definitely. What do you think of? Have you seen the Jeremy Jahns spoiler review for Ben-Hur?
No, I'm making a point not to watch spoiler reviews unless I've actually seen the movie.
Well, it's not technically a spoiler review. He does it. He has a review, and he just spoils the ending. I won't spoil the ending, but it is stupid. It's not. It has the same. Okay, spoilers here. It has the same half ending as the
Right.
original, as the 1959 version, with the magic rain curing his mother and sister.
Mm-hmm.
But it also does something else which is even stupider. And I would like to make this point, and it's a bit off track, and I'm not even talking about. I don't know why I brought Jeremy Jahns' review. I'm bringing John Campier's review for this, and I told you about this, and it really,
Yeah.
really, really annoyed me because John Campier deleted his review where he said that in the original Ben-Hur there was no scene where his mother and sister get cured with the rain that falls when Jesus dies.
Right.
He tried to use that to make his review have more gravity because he's seen the original, he can compare them, and it makes the review more important and more unique in a
Right.
way. I hope you're following. And then he deleted it. I don't know why he deleted it. It could be that he saw another version and he just got too much hate for it, or it could be that he was trying to emphasize the fact that he had seen the original, but he actually hadn't, just to give more weight to his review than maybe other
Right.
reviewers. And I'm a bit miffed, to say the
Yeah,
least.
absolutely. That when you told me about it, I was very surprised that first of all he would say there isn't the quote unquote magic rain, but also that after he makes such a point of calling back to the 1959 version that then he would delete it. It's very suspect. Seems like maybe he hasn't seen the original, but I've watched John Campea for the past 4 years now. He's seems to have pretty good integrity, so I almost wonder if maybe he just was thinking of something else or totally it got lost in the rest of the 3 some odd hour movie and he just forgot about that one scene. I can forgive him that. And I really, in the back of my mind, that's what I'm hoping was the actual problem. And he just, in order to kind of appease the trolls, he just took the video down. But if it's so that he really hasn't seen the original and was pretending he did, that would be frustrating. And in a way, it's almost like the death of a hero because I don't know about you, but John Campeo, he was my first kind of exposure to film podcasting and film on YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah, I wouldn't want to learn that this guy that I idolized has a habit of faking. That would be disappointing, but hopefully it's just he forgot. Anyway, real quick, I just wanted to one of these recent days, I'm starting to lose track of time too. I went and saw Hell or High Water, and I came out of that movie so impressed that I asked Harvey, "Hey, do you mind if I just kind of go into it real quick, just talk about it because the reason I want to talk about it is one, I loved it, and two, I want other people to go see it." So if you can, if Hell or High Water is playing in a theater near you, which I hope it is, please go see this movie and support it because it deserves it. When I heard it being talked about by various YouTube personalities, I was instantly intrigued because I like a good Western. And the fact that it takes place in modern day piqued my interest even further. So I dragged my buddy along to the theater. We both went and saw it and both left impressed. He wasn't quite as impressed as I was. I think overall the story he liked, but maybe it was a little too slow paced for him. But for me, it was fine. It was everything I wanted it to be. It met all of my expectations based off of the trailers. Chris Pine and Ben Foster are so fun to watch. They're magnetic in this movie, just so fun to watch. And the chemistry between Jeff Bridges and his partner is, I want to say it's Gil Robertson. Someone's gonna crucify me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's Gil Robertson is his partner, and the chemistry that they had was so funny. And I was happy to see Jeff Bridges doing a small role like this where he can really just get in depth and have fun. And it had a cool heist aspect to it as well. The they're without giving any spoilers, they're bank robbers. Chris Pine and Ben Foster are, and so it was a very good western, probably the best one I've seen since either Slow West or Bone Tomahawk. So I would highly recommend that if you can, you go see this movie because it deserves to be seen, and I definitely would recommend it. I appreciated it very much.
For all the people who don't know about this film, talk us through what the film is about.
Basically, it's Chris Pine and Ben Foster are robbing banks because they want to repay a mortgage that was basically unfairly leveraged on them. And Jeff Bridges and Gil Robertson are Texas Rangers and they're hunting them down. And that's the general basis. There's things that lie beneath that I don't want to spoil because I feel like the less you know about this movie going in, honestly, kind of, I knew very little and I felt like it really helped my enjoyment because I was pleasantly surprised when it took certain turns. It's not like it's a great thriller or anything. It's just cool to watch the development of these characters and it's cool to see Ben Foster and Chris Pine evade the Texas Rangers, and uh, you're rooting for them even though they're doing something they shouldn't. They're the anti-heroes, and it's always fun to root for the bad guys. So yeah, a lot of fun and very well directed too. And I don't know, maybe Harvey, I don't think you maybe have very much experience with this kind of music, but it had a lot of country and western and bluegrass in it, and for the soundtrack, and I greatly appreciated that because that's, I'm a fan. And it had, for anybody who knows who Chris Stapleton is, it had a Chris Stapleton song, and I'm a huge fan of his, so that also kind of helped me to really, it sets the tone for the movie really well. It makes you feel like you are in Texas watching these events go down, watching these guys rob banks and get shot at. So
What would be your rating for this movie?
it would probably be a 9, actually, a good solid 9, just because when I rate movies, it's partially off the quality of the film, but also did it meet expectations. So that's, the quality is very good, and also it met my expectations perfectly. I was very entertained. It had a great story, great characters. It never felt cheesy or like they were just stumbling around, not sure what they were doing. The movie had a purpose, and it moved forward at a good pace the entire time. It had the slower moments that it needed, but it also never slowed to a crawl where I felt like I was getting bored in the theater. I always wanted to know what was going to happen next throughout the film. So it, in the end, it gets a 9 from me. I was very happy with it.
Let's get to our next segment then.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, our next segment is we're going to be talking about our most anticipated movie of September, as well as our most anticipated movie of October. So, excuse me, Harvey, I will let you go first. Your most anticipated movie of September.
My most anticipated movie of September is Magnificent Seven. I think the cast, the director is perfect. I can't wait to see what each member of this cast brings to the feel of the movie. And I would like to watch this and get the taste of Ridiculous Six, which I decided to watch
Oh,
out of my mouth.
oh, I cannot believe you were brave enough to watch that movie.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
What's your most anticipated of September?
Mine is also the Magnificent Seven for multiple reasons. One, like I've already stated, I love a good Western. Two, I'm a huge Chris Pratt fan, and recently, because of Daredevil, also a huge Vincent D'Onofrio fan. I had never really seen him in anything besides the beginning of Full Metal Jacket, which to me is the only interesting part of Full Metal Jacket, but that's another conversation for another time. But I like both of them. Oh, and in Ethan Hawke as well. I really like him. And you can usually never go wrong with Denzel Washington. So I can't wait to see where Anton Fuqua takes us. I hope that it's fun and exciting, but I hope that I'm expecting some cheesiness, but I hope that he doesn't take it too far to where it just feels like a parody of itself or something like what I imagine Ridiculous Six must be like. I was not even, I just, someone told me, I'm not going to name who because they'll never live it down, but someone told me Ridiculous Six was actually a good movie, and I stared at them for a full minute and said, no, I will never watch that because I can't believe that Adam Sandler is even making movies right now, because the stuff that he's putting out is ridiculous. So yeah, definitely the Magnificent Seven, because I feel like hopefully we can go 2 for 2 with quality westerns in the past, uh, over the course of these couple weeks. So, and then October, for me, it is The Accountant with Ben Affleck and Anna Kendrick, because it seems like it's a more it feels like Jason Bourne, but perhaps maybe a little darker. It feels like it's going to focus less on the action and the jumping through windows and hand chopping people in the throat and whatever, and it feels like it's going to focus more on getting into Ben Affleck's character and getting into a thicker plot and hopefully a darker tone. And that's what really excites me. Ever since the first teaser came out, again, that was kind of another teaser for me that came out of nowhere. I had no idea the movie was even being made. And when I saw the teaser, I was instantly on board. Ben Affleck, I'm already a pretty big fan. I wouldn't say a huge fan necessarily, but I try to see most of his movies and I end up liking most of them, especially Argo, I loved. So I'm very excited to see what he does with this. And I like the tone and kind of the aesthetic or the vibe, I guess, that I'm getting from the trailer. But have you seen the trailer for The Accountant?
Yes, I did. I would like. I will get to my October one in a bit. I would like to ask you: do you think The Accountant is going to get any Oscars?
Good question. I think that there's a possibility, but it doesn't strike me as necessarily the type of movie. I feel like it would have to come out of nowhere and like when people go see it, they walk out and be like, wow, that was very deep or much deeper than I expected. It ended up being more of a character piece than it was a sort of action thriller. So it has the potential, I suppose, but I don't know. I don't think that it will get maybe anything more than maybe Ben Affleck gets an acting nomination, but I don't know. It depends. It seems like his character is kind of quiet, and not to say that a quiet performance can't get you an acting Oscar, but if you look at the ones in the past, it tends to be pretty noticeable roles. Ergo, Leo, which I was very happy that he finally got his, but still, it was very much in the public eye, and I think that really helped him win. So I wouldn't say that I see it getting much Oscar recognition, no.
Okay, my most anticipated movie of October is the sequel to Ouija. No, it's not.
Oh, I would just stop this podcast right now if that's what it was.
It is also The Accountant. And one thing that really excites me about this movie is the cast. You've got Ben Affleck, Anna Kendrick, J.K. Simmons, John Bernthal,
Yes.
John Lithgow. I mean, it's like I'm in awe of that cast.
Yeah, it's like a kid in the candy store just picking out all of these best actors and throwing them into a movie together and giving them a cool premise and then kind of just letting them run with it.
Also excited about this director because do you know of the director of The Accountant?
Not off the top of my head, no.
He is called Gavin O'Connor, and
Oh yeah, Miracle.
yes, also Jane Got a Gun. That Natalie Portman thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard great things. I kind of avoided that one.
But what I'm looking at now, he directed Warrior with Tom Hardy
Oh,
and Joel
such a great
Edgerton.
movie.
That was a brilliant movie. I love that movie so much. I think, we could be looking at something possibly Oscar-y. I'm not sure. I don't know until I watch the movie, of course. But there could be some Oscar hype.
There is a possibility. Sure. I'm trying to think. Has Gavin O'Connor had any Oscar recognition before?
I don't think so, no.
No. Yeah, I feel personally, I'm a big hockey fan. Go Bruins, but I really liked Miracle, and I was hoping back when that came out that maybe it might get some recognition. It never did, which I can understand, but I would like to see Gavin O'Connor get some recognition because I feel like he's been in the business for a while, giving us, possibly with the exception of Jane Got a Gun, he's been giving
Mm.
us quality film. I honestly, I got choked up at the end of Warrior, which is a it almost never happens. I just, for whatever reason, I'll get excitement and anger and all those other emotions out of a movie, but sadness is one that rarely kind of touches me. But in that film, I think maybe because of how close I am to my brothers, at the very end, I'm not going to spoil it, because if you haven't seen it, you should see this movie. But at the very end, it just, oh, it was so perfect, and it really made me think about my brothers and just how much I loved them. So the way he elicits emotion, he did the same thing too in Miracle. I just cannot wait to see what he does with the accountant.
I think that wraps it up for our
Indeed, it
October.
does. Absolutely. Thank you, Harvey, for joining me. It was awesome to sit here and chat with you.
Excuse me for one second. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you, Ryan, because we
Okay.
ain't done yet.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
we have a new podcast, Take Three. That's what you're listening to now. If we do get any listeners, um, people don't know us that well, and we talk about movies. So I want to do something like the top 10 and count down our top 10 favorite movies.
Okay. I have a list. Can I refer to my list? This was unplanned, but I always have a list handy.
I always have a list handy too.
That's how you know we're such movie nerds.
So, Ryan, if you would like to read out your 10 through 6.
All right, 10 through 6. So number 10 for me is Creed. And number 9 is Fury. Number 8, Inglorious Bastards. Number 7, Braveheart. Number 6, Captain America Civil War.
Those are some great choices. For me, let's read out my 10 through 6. Number 10, Harvey. I am not vain. It is just a brilliant movie. Number 9, Back to the Future.
Great
Got
movie.
it. 80s galore, that. Number 8 is The Godfather. It's
It's The
Marlon
Godfather.
Brando. It is, yeah, it's The Godfather, yeah. um, number 7 is Empire Strikes Back.
Ah, so good.
And number 6, Memento.
I like it. Good choice. I'm a huge Chris Nolan fan. I like to see that.
Okay, Ryan, go through your 5 through 2.
All right, 5 through 2. So number 5, we got Goodfellas, which that's personally my favorite gangster film of all time. Just barely edges out Godfather. I think just because I happened to see it first. Um, Number 4 is Whiplash. I've already said on this podcast how much I love that movie. Number 3 is 12 Angry Men, which to me is probably the most underrated movie of all time. I don't think nearly enough people have seen 12 Angry Men. It's an incredible drama. Number 2 for me, I I cannot believe you didn't have this higher. Number 2 for me is Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. Basically, it's a perfect movie and it's sci-fi and I love it, and Darth Vader and Luke gets his hand cut off and iconic lines, and I could go on. But I'll let you say your 5 through 2.
Number 5 is Inception.
Yes.
Number 4 has got to be, and it's new on my list. I saw it in January this year. My newest addition to the list. The Revenant.
Okay. Interesting.
I
I liked it all right, but I can definitely understand how that would be a top 10 for someone.
I just thought it was magnificent the way it was shot, the raw intensity and emotion of this film really got to me, and I didn't realise I was so tense whilst watching this film until the lady behind me in the theatre kicked the back of my seat. I was like, "Ooh, Jesus!"
Almost had a heart attack.
Yeah. Number 3, Pulp Fiction. It's perfect. It I've read the screenplay number of times. I watched the movie a number of times, and it's wonderful. It is. Oh, it's Quentin Tarantino at his best.
I'm inclined to agree, except for whatever reason, Inglorious Bastards edges it out just a little. I think mainly because of Christoph Waltz, but Pulp Fiction I've probably seen more often, to be honest. So
That's the like Tarantino fight: Pulp Fiction or Inglorious.
yeah, it's a difficult choice.
Although Reservoir Dogs, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is, especially for his first movie ever. It's crazy to think.
and how he managed to get all those top quality actors in that film, top end actors.
Yeah, I don't know. He must have blackmailed some of them.
um, and now my number two, we've talked about it earlier. It's Blade Runner. I can't say any more. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Which
Now,
cut? The final cut or voiceover or what? Do you know?
not the voiceover one, no, the Ridley Scott cut, the good one,
Right,
the
final
brilliant
cut.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan, what is your favorite movie of all time?
My number one is Inception, and I think it goes beyond it's just my favorite movie of all time. I'd be so bold as to say it's probably the greatest movie of all time, just because I've watched this movie more than any other, except for maybe Star Wars, just because Star Wars has been out longer and I watched it when I was a kid. But Inception, every time I watch it, I like it more and more. My appreciation for it grows, and no matter how many times I've looked, I cannot find a single flaw. I'm fairly certain that the movie's perfect. I have so much fun. It blows my mind every time. Leonardo DiCaprio, I cannot believe he didn't get any recognition for that one, let alone anything else. And the fact that I'm hard pressed to think what won in 2010 instead, but I don't understand why that didn't get Best Picture. And I certainly, even if you don't want to give it that, that's fine. I guess I could understand, but I certainly don't understand how what he did with it. Christopher Nolan, how did he not get Best Director? I just don't understand, and I'm gonna stop now because I'm gonna work myself up and just gonna get angry. So, what's your number one, Harvey?
My number one. It's the greatest movie of all time. It's perfect in every way. It's even more perfect than Inception. It is 2001: A Space Odyssey. This
That
film,
is a great movie. I will give you that.
it's it's a masterpiece. It is Kubrick at his finest. R.I.P. Kubrick, you're the greatest director that's ever walked this earth. Thank you for visiting.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from because it definitely left a big impression on me when I saw it. I think perhaps my only complaint is that at times it seems like a little long, but overall, it I just love movies that make you think. In 2001, just you never stop thinking. I'll just be in the car and I haven't seen the movie in a while, and I'll just randomly start thinking about, wow, like he did this so incredibly well, and the way the story was told in this such a way, I love that, and the visuals here, and yeah, I definitely love it. I have a poster of it hanging up in my room right now, so I can absolutely understand. But all right, that's definitely overtime for us, but hopefully our listeners can forgive us a little bit. Hopefully they were still interested. Harvey, where can everybody find you on the various social medias?
You can't find me on the social medias.
You don't exist.
No,
This man does
I don't.
not exist.
No, I'm a puka. Everybody should get that reference, by the way.
Well, that's fine. Nobody waste your time looking for Harvey. You guys can look for me instead. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Clan McClellan. That's Clan McLellan. Any last words, Harvey?
It's been fun talking movies, and I can't wait to do it again next week.
Me neither. It's always great. Just movies are, yeah, they're so awesome, and getting to talk about them and really get in depth with them is the greatest. But All right. Thank you guys for listening. This is the Take 3 podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.